All right, quickly wrapping up the National Sports Festival. Yes, that's where talents are being discovered. But there's something the Director General of National Sports Commission, Bukola Olopade, was talking to journalists earlier today concerning how you can easily, get the medals table with the app. I mean, it's the first time they are having that. It's no longer manual, it's digitalized. So you just click on that and then it takes you to where you can see the teams that are leading. Earlier today, it was Lagos. And then if you check it currently now, it's Bayelsa. So it's just going on. And that's what he was trying to explain to journalists on how they can actually, report the correct medals table and carry everyone along so you don't have piled up medals. That's according to him. Well, let's listen to Bukola talking about that.
We have introduced how we've digitalized the medal system. How real time you get results and medals and the medal table. The app is working real time. Nobody from the office of the main organizing committee or the local organizing committee told you Delta was leading. Nobody. If you chose to have read what you read, that is what we all need to correct. Wait until official tables are given to you before you publish. Gentlemen, this will be jam. Don't ask me jam questions. Help me, let me help you. He just quoted a report. Because I was dancing yesterday. I even told Edo State, when they came in, and Delta, I said, I'm joyous. For the first time in the history of this festival in the last 20 years, I did not wake up the next morning to find a state with 21 gold medals where competition had not been had. And that was what he was talking about. Yes, clap for me now, sure. Because we have seen so many times our medal table just spring up 24 hours after the event. You can't find that now. So please, I want to appeal. Do not read stories from your colleagues. You all have access to me, Mrs. Ajayi, Emosholaja, Kola Obasi. We cannot be tired to answer your question, Dr. Kwekutando. If you want me to tell you today as we start what the medal table is, I can tell you from my head. But I'm hoping that if you open the app, it will already would have been updated.
Talking about being updated, as I mentioned earlier, Bayelsa is now topping, is having 6 gold medals, 2 silver, and a total of 9. Oyo is having 4 gold medals, 1 silver, 1 bronze medal. And Lagos State have gone down. They have a total number of 10. But where the problem is, they have just 3 gold medals, and that's why they are third on the table. So if you just want to see how it's been, just keep watching us, and of course we'll be giving you updates concerning the National Sports Festival, especially concerning the medals table, because when you read somewhere that Edo State have won 18 medals in weightlifting, and then you click on the app and it's telling them won just 7, and then they're asking us where are the results are coming from. I hope they can harmonize that, and then we have correct figures of what is currently going on in at the National Sports Festival. All right, before we bring in our guests, because we've got analysts that will be dissecting the game between Manchester United and Tottenham, 2 English clubs who are 16th and 17th on the log, trying to fight their way back to the Champions League. Cheat sheet, that's what they're actually using in that aspect. Kind of cheating, because when you perform woefully, you have opportunity to get into Europe next season. That's what they're doing. But before we do that, quickly, we'll talk about the Super Falcons of Nigeria. We have players that will be, contesting that. I mean, they'll be playing against Cameroon. At least we missed 2 international windows, 2 months international windows, but we're going to make use opportunity for this one. But 23 players. I mean, when you go through the list of players that have been invited, you're surprised by some omission, addition, or what's your take on that?
I think every list will always get its criticism, no matter how good the list is, no matter how well, expected players are in there. But one thing I always, try to rest my case on is the fact that, is the coach okay with the list?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
he will be working with these
He's
ladies. Yes.
the one. Okay.
We the journalists will write, different angles.
Yeah.
Some write the pros, some write the cons, some write the advantages, disadvantages. But the coach who will be in the grit of things, is he okay with this list? I mean, I'm already seeing a list that looks seemingly balanced. Some names are not there, but it looks seemingly balanced. It can execute this job. But these games are not as meaningful. These games are games for you to understand the 23 that you have on your hand. How well can you, because 11 players start each game, and then who are the substitutes that will complement this 11? So that is what these friendlies are for. Over
Okay.
2 legs. How will you, harmonize this team?
Okay.
And then when you get that, then you're ready for the championship.
Okay.
Because we're still looking at going for 10. We're stuck on 9 right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's see if that time is now.
Okay, and the first game will be 31st May. That will be at the Kenneth Remo Stadium on Saturday, and the other one will be at the MK Abiola Sports Complex on Tuesday, June 3rd. That's after the National Sport Festival. That's when the games will go on. Austin, Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur will try to salvage their disastrous season in Bilbao tomorrow night. I mean, we've got some guests that will talk about that. Over to you.
I know, Cecilia, and I've tagged it football mystery. But before we get into that conversation, let's touch base with the grassroots, because we've said that's where sports development happens. And in Lagos, we're getting set for the kickoff of the third edition of the 1X Cup. Why do I like this one? It's synonymous to what they're doing in Bayelsa State with community football development. 64 teams from different communities across the country will be in Lagos to play football. And at the end of the day, so much will go down. Coaches will gain from it. Players will be discovered. Ex-internationals are part of this. And it's just another opportunity to take young persons out of the streets and, give them an opportunity, a platform to express their talent. Some are Super Eagles. Player Wide Akoni is really big on this one, and they are planning so big for it. I like it that the grassroots is taking center stage, because that's where we need to focus. We have the National Sports Festival going on. Last month, we did the Niger Delta Sports Festival. We did the Dawn Games. All of this is what we need, to put our sports on that road towards where we can say it is admirable and follows international standards. So I'm looking forward to this one. Let's talk about the big one, the Europa League final in Bilbao. Manchester United, can you believe it? And Tottenham, if you tell them to talk about their season in the English Premier League, both teams will tear that paper and put it in the trash. But they are going to play the final of the Europa League right here in London. Martin Akpoveta, big Tottenham fan, joins us live on the show. Martin, good to have you on Sports Tonight.
Hello, good evening. Good to have you as well. Thanks. All right.
If I want to make it difficult for you now, just stop talking about the Europa League and start talking about Premier League and you puke. But I won't do that. I'll not do that to you. Bolariwa Olajide also joins us on the show. Bolariwa, how is Toronto tonight?
Toronto is pretty good. I don't want to say it's warm because it's still in between. But yeah, it's a good weather as we're gradually approaching summer. So it's looking good.
Fantastic. It's also good weather here in the UK and England to be precise, and we cannot just wait to have that sun. Whenever it comes, I just remember so much, But let's get into the conversation. I'll begin with you, Martin. You're right here in London. You're a big fan of Tottenham. Who is going to lift that Europa League trophy?
Obviously, Spurs are going to win it. Obviously. that's like a difficult question.
Why do you think Spurs will beat Manchester United to win this Europa League final?
My manager said something, right? He said he usually wins in the second season. And he rephrased it and he says, I always win in the second season, right? And sometimes there's always that belief. You could have the best players there, but once they start believing it, and we could see that from our games, right? In the Premier League, as you rightly said, I don't want to talk about that. But when you talk about the Europa League, that's so different.
Right? We'll see. Yeah, I like the confidence that Postecoglou is to talk about it now because this is in the final. But let me bring in Bolariwa, big Manchester United fan. It's also a messed up season for United in the Premier League. But what Martin is forgetting is Manchester United is the only team that is unbeaten in Europe, in European competition. Bolariwa, is that the edge that United will need against Tottenham tomorrow?
Well, that is an edge, but United have so many edges ahead of this final. But I have to say this before we go on. The two teams in this year's final should be ashamed to play the final. They should be totally ashamed because in my life, in my existence, I've never seen two teams who are one and two positions above the relegation zone playing in a European final, the Europa League this year. So both sides should be ashamed. The rules are clear. We know that UEFA has given an avenue for teams to return to the Champions League, and the teams would definitely exploit. Now, talking about edges, United have it all well going for them. Maybe not as good in the Premier League, but they have many advantages over Tottenham. You just mentioned one. They are the only side unbeaten in the competition, and we can also include the Champions League in that. They've played so many matches in Europe. They've won trophies in Europe. They have the experience playing in this type of stage. You can't say the same for Tottenham. Tottenham are only trying to win a trophy after a very long time. United not only want to win a trophy, but they just want to get back into Champions League. That's the first priority for Manchester United, playing Champions League football and making the money. So the priorities are different for both sides. And I think Tottenham will remain the underdog going into this final. United will be slight favorites. We know finals are never straightforward, but there should be a favorite going into every final. United are that team, and I'm confident, even with their dismal season, that they'll go on and lift the trophy.
Cecilia.
Bring in Kende Idris here. United have played under coach Ruben Amorim. They played 26 Premier League games, right? They've won just 6. And this year, I think since January, he has 9 points from all the games he has played. I mean, he hasn't won the last 8 games, right? The last 8 Premier League games he has played. But Europe, I mean, he's having a good run.
Yeah.
So when you add that and then add Europe to it, is there something really, really wrong with Manchester United? Because the Spurs fan, Martin just mentioned that, hey, going by everything, Spurs definitely are going to win it. Yeah. And if you check the head-to-head record, I mean, what they've done in the league, Spurs holds a better one. Yeah. And then Spurs just have a way of winning when they won going into, these fixtures. What's going to happen on Wednesday? United with that dismal run that they are currently having?
It's pretty tough because both teams are not trustable. They've shown us time and time again. Now, I'm not putting just the Europa League into context. I'm putting football that both teams have been involved in this season.
Let's put Europa League into context.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I'll come to Europa. But I'm saying, in extension, they've both shown that they are not trustable. But if you come to the Europa League, Manchester United, untouchable. Gone past. The semi-final tells even a deeper story. Bilbao is one of the classic teams in the La Liga, beating them over 2 legs 7-1. I think that's something to hold on to. But a Ruben Amorim that has not beaten up to 7 teams since he took over Manchester United counts for something. Then there is this thing. When you play teams from your league, it's a completely different ball game compared to probably Manchester United playing a team from Italy or from Spain or Germany. They are playing a team that knows them so well. Now, going by Amorim and also PoliticsToday, I think PoliticsToday against Eric Ten Hag, against Amorim, has had the bigger laugh. And I think he wants to cap it with winning a finals over them. So this is not straightforward. Manchester United, the only advantage I see them holding is Manchester United have not lost in Europe and they continue on that drive. For the fact that they are more experienced, I don't count that in this. Just some couple of seasons ago, Tottenham Hotspur were in the final of the Champions League. That is big. Some players who played in that final are still there. Heung-min Son comes to mind. See, Cecilia, this is a final. It's a one-off. All you need to do is to tune in your head that you want to go in there, leave blood and sweat, and take the trophy home. And that could play in the advantage of Tottenham Hotspur, whether they are experienced on this ground or not. For Manchester United, they want to survey their season. I think they are even chasing to survey their season more than Tottenham Hotspur. Not just getting into the Champions League, not just going home with a trophy. They want to have something to write about this season.
Okay.
2024, 2025. Yes, it was a bad season, but we went home with a trophy. For Tottenham Hotspur, they just want to put their name against a cup in recent time. So it's a whole lot put together. Right. But for me, with the head-to-head Postecoglou have got over Amorim, I think he's got a slight advantage.
Okay, Spurs might just win it. All right, let's just get confirmation of the time, the date, the venue, and of course the fixture of what's happening in Europe on Wednesday. Yes, you will say it's something big. It's something that these two teams that are 16th and 17th on the log, who couldn't. Okay, and if you take a look at the English Premier League table, it's the performers of the 3 relegated teams that made them not to go on relegation, because when you're having 16 and 17, it's very close. So Europa League final, and it's Wednesday, May 31st. So keep it locked, and then we will be telling you more about this. Yes, let's take a look at the road to final. How did United get to the final? It was a smooth run for them. For both of these teams, they may be having the very woeful performance when it comes to the Premier League. But when it comes to Europe, they've been in fantastic form. So let's start with September 25th, 2025. September 25th, 2024, that was the last year. It was against 20, it ended 1-1. And then you come to October 3rd. What happened in October 3rd? October 3rd against Porto, it was 3-3 draw. And then 24th on October, Fenerbahce and United, it ended 1-1. And of course, you come to against PAOK, that game ended 2-0 in favor of United. This is when they started getting the right results. And November 28th, it was United winning 3-2. And December 12th, it was Victoria Pleasant 1 and United 2. Then you come to this year that they've had a better run compared to what they had when it started, last year. They beat Rangers by 2-1. Of course, January 30th, it was United also winning by 2-0. So this is how it's been for Manchester United. In the round of 16, you remember you had the league phase for the first time, both in Europa League and also in the Champions League. Real Sociedad and United, it was 1-1 in the first leg. But then the return leg, United winning 4-1. So this was when they started scoring having that high scoring games. This was another tricky situation for them in the quarterfinals against Lyon. The first leg, of course, it was 2-0, and the second leg, when they came back to have that dramatic and fantastic win against Lyon, ended 5-4. And Atletico Bilbao and United, this was one of those dramatic games you watch, and you'll be wondering how did they get here. United, Bilbao were down by a player down, and United scored 3 in this one. And the return leg, they finished the job winning 7-4 on aggregate. Now let's go to Spurs. They road to the final. September 26th, Spurs and Karabakh, Spurs winning by 3-0. They started so well. And of course, on October 3rd, they also won by 2-1. October 24th, they won their game also, and they lost to Galatasaray November 7th, 2024. Now, we got still on that league phase against Roma, ended 2-2. And the game against Rangers, it was 1-1 in December. And then January this year, against Hoffenheim, they won by 3-2. And against Forsberg, the game ended 3-0 in favor of Spurs. Now, round of 16 against Akma, it wasn't they lost that one the first leg, but return leg they won at 3-1, getting it back on track. In the quarterfinals, let's quickly see that. In the quarterfinals, it was the first leg ended at 1-0 against Frankfurt, and return leg Tottenham won by a lone goal. And of course, they were able to get that result they needed. Of course, against Bodo Glimt, it was 3-1, and against the second leg, they won 2-0 in the semi-finals. So that's how they got here. So, Martin, I'm going to throw this to you. If you check what I just read out, the road to the final, United had a better run than Spurs. Do you think this will play any role in them trying to win their first trophy in 17 years?
I don't believe so at all. Right? I know he said they've gone unbeaten, but there's always an opportunity to get beaten. And the other guy says United have the edge. They don't really have the edge. It's all about history. Football is not football. You respect history, but it's about the present.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you look back, we've played, or the current manager and Postecoglou, he's played United 5 times, and in those 5 times he's won 4 and drawn 1. And on the back of that, there's just a belief and hunger, right, with the team. And like if you look at this season has been a season of the underdogs. Crystal Palace, nobody believed them. They beat Man City. Newcastle, the same thing against Liverpool. They beat them. And now I'm happy you said we're the underdogs, because it's now our opportunity to actually show that we could actually write history. And that's what football is about. It's about history, right? United, yeah, you won your fair of trophies. You want to go to Champions League. So do Spurs. We want to go. It's not about trophies. It's not about just getting a trophy. It's about putting our name there as well. It's been so long, and it's time to put our name there. And I cannot wait for tomorrow. Literally, about around this time tomorrow, I'll be like wearing my dancing shoes, getting ready to like
party. Are you going to be about to see live?
Say that again?
Are you going to be about to see it live?
No. But for personal reason, I can't go there. But I'll be, wherever I am, I'm going to be holding that flag. Football's coming home. Football's coming home.
We'll see. Bottom line, both clubs are using the back door to see how they can get into Europe. But Larry, just hold your thoughts. We'll come back to you. Let's take some pre-match interviews from Ruben Amorim and Postecoglou.
That depends on your outlook, Dan, but I'll tell you one thing, irrespective of tomorrow, I'm not a clown. I never will be, mate. And you're really disappointed that you would use such terminology about a person who, for 26 years, without any favours from anyone, has worked his way to be in a position where he's leading out a club in a European major competition. For you to suggest that somehow us not being successful means that I'm a clown, not really sure how to answer that question. Tried as hard as I can to kind of stick to that process of getting the club to a position where, they can challenge for trophies and at the same time rejuvenate a squad and change the playing style. It's been a fair assignment, and without its, plenty of challenges along the way. But I guess with such a sort of big game tomorrow, there is an opportunity to kind of fulfil at least the main task I was sort of given, and that is to bring trophies to the club. Whatever happens beyond tomorrow is kind of irrelevant when you think about the opportunity that exists right now, and that is to provide something special for this football club and for the supporters and for everyone who's worked so hard, not just this year, but for the last, however years, 15, 16 years been for a trophy and 41 years for a European trophy.
I don't know how to explain how the fans like me in this moment, so it's hard to explain. I will try to prove myself to the fans, to the board, but I don't have an explanation for you. But again, I think it's a good thing for me. I'm never worried about that. That is a part of being a coach. We need to be excited and confident, But we already know the problems. There's a lot of things that we need to change in our club, the way we do everything during the week in Carrington, the recruitment, the academy. I think we need to improve. So it's hard to point one thing, and that will not be solved by winning a cup. Tomorrow, it will be important for us, for our fans. That feeling of winning can help us to have the strength to do every job that we have to do it. For example, I came from the club that in order to survive and to maintain players, you need to be in Champions League. This is not the case. Our club can have revenues without Champions League. It's a big club. It's a massive club with a lot of fans around the world. It's a big brand. So we just need to be focused and do the things in the right way.
That's it. Postecoglou and Ruben Amorim, they are set. Bolarinwa, both coaches, they look confident. They are looking forward to, a good outcome. But football will give us just one winner. With what you heard, who do you think is more pumped up for tomorrow?
Well, I have to say the two managers are both pumped up. Postecoglou has been sounding very confident, and rightly so. Martin mentioned something about his incredible record against Manchester United. 5 times they've met, 4 times is won. But unfortunately, it also belongs to the past. In the present, it's all about what the two teams have to offer. United are almost at full strength. Even the injured players, apart from Matthias de Ligt, are all back in training. Dalot is back, Euro is back, and you can't say the same for Tottenham because Heung-min Son, the club captain, just returned from injury. There's no Madison, no Kulusevski, no Bergvall. So you begin to wonder, where is the creativity going to come for Tottenham? United, they've been there, they've done that. They are so pumped up, maybe not as much as Tottenham, because I think both teams have been abysmal this season. But one team has the pedigree playing in Europe, and that team is Manchester United. So it's going to be an interesting final. I can't wait to see how it all develops, and I hope the two teams come to the party. We just want to see an exciting final, something we'll be talking about for years to come. But for me, based on what I've listened to and heard from the two managers, I think Amorim knows what he has to do. He's under pressure, likewise Postecoglou, but I think it's a bigger pressure managing Manchester United than Tottenham Hotspur.
Kende, tomorrow football will give us a winner, but if you listen to both Martins and Bolarinwa, they are speaking as fans. But with what we've seen, both teams are in shambles. Which one do you think has that small lifeline to do something special tomorrow?
That's hard. That's hard. I think both teams are just pretty pumped up. See, sometimes you need X factors in your team, but for a one-off, maybe some of those names might not really matter. Kulusevski is not available. There is no Madison and all of that. If they get somebody who can deputize and does the job to a good rate on the day, it might just be, a one-off and it goes in their way. Tottenham Hotspur really wants this. Postecoglou says from the start of the season, I do win things in my second season, and we're holding him to that. For Ruben Amorim, this is how to salvage your season. I want to see you salvage. But like we said, the best thing is to be a neutral on a day like this, and I am a neutral.
Let me say thank you to Martin and Bolarinwa for their time on the show. All the best. I'm in the middle, as neutral as I can. I'll come back to say whatever football gives us. Thanks so much, guys, for your time on the show.
All right, thank you.
Always.
Okay. So, Cecilia, I've just been using one eye to take a look at what's going on in that Premier League games between Crystal Palace and Wolves. We're approaching 90th minute. It's Crystal Palace 3, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. I know Edin Ketia got a brace in that one. And it's still Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 0. Rodri is back. He's on the pitch now. But what a goal by Mamouche. Cecilia, did you see that goal?
I saw it. I mean, that's one of the goals of the season.
It was a banger. He had no right to score from that distance. That goal can make a blind man see. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Kende Idris, it was nice doing this with you again.
It's good always to be here. And thanks to Ian for being on the show.
Yeah, I mean,
Fresh of bread.
Joining us right there from New York. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omongbe. Have a good night, right?